Hey everyone, Jamie Pate here, and I want to welcome you to this video where today we're going to take a little bit of a pause and walk through 2022 Memory Planner, also known to many as Stop the Blur planner books. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to. And another reason I'm doing it is because you've asked for it. And another reason I'm doing it is because it's always a good idea to go back and look at what has happened and kind of review and pause and maybe take a little bit of inventory. So with that, let's get started. Okay, you can see here on my work table, I have 4 memory planner inserts. These are all available from Heidi Swapp Shop. These are actual literal memory planner inserts. That's what they're made for. Each of these, if you are new to memory planning or new to Heidi Swapp Stop the Blur idea of memory planning, each of these inserts holds 3 months, 3 months at a time. And for me, they actually get a little thick, and that's okay because it doesn't matter how thick they are. There's stories and 365 stories in here. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk through each of these. I am not going to walk through December. I will come back the middle of the month. On the 15th, I always here on my channel share a look at the month that has previously just passed. And I also sneak as to, because the 15th is when Heidi Swapp comes out with brand new Stop the Blur classes on her site, as well as brand new Stop the Blur kit, which then I use in the next month. And I'll link all that below. If you have any questions on that, please let me hear from you in the comments. So one little caveat here as we get started, I have not gone through and done a look through of my book yet. So it's going to be very organic, and I don't want this to take hours. And if I do think it's going to go too long, I'll just make this a 2-parter because I want this to be really watchable if this is something you're interested in looking at. The other thing I wanted to share is I'm not going to talk deeply, and who knows what I'm going to talk about. I say that, and then it just like goes into all kinds of directions, right? But my idea is not to necessarily talk about each and every product, but if something comes to the surface, I will definitely make mention of that. So I started the year off with its own page. This is what the beginning page looks like. I left it loose on purpose. But one of the reasons why I covered this up was because my ink on the other side was coming through. And I didn't love that. So I covered it up on all sides. But I do like an intro page for pretty much everything. And most of the stamps you're going to find in here are from Heidi Swapp Shop. Now, I am not great about getting the month at a glance page done. I do have the beginning of this year's done. I mean, look, I don't even have that tag attached. That might happen here and there. I did happen to get these first 3 months at a glance, and I really do like doing these. But honestly, I don't always get to them like I would like. So here, bonus, I have 3 months of month at a glance done. And then this is kind of a consistent thing for all of my beginning of the months. But of course, this was the beginning of 2022, right? And I like to kind of have like a kickoff page. I like to make sure I know it's the beginning of a month. I like to add a little bit more to it. And that's exactly what I did here at the beginning of 2022. So as we look through here, what you're going to see on these pages is going to be a lot of that month's Stop the Blur kit. And these kits are only available within the month that they release. So they're available for 30 days. Sometimes Heidi re-releases them. You have to check back on the site or follow along here to know when that happens. So a lot of what you're seeing here is part of the Stop the Blur kit or the printables and the tag. So my pages are pretty consistent throughout. I'm not super duper heavy on photos because I like to come back in and scrapbook pages. I still keep weekly scrapbook pages. So while Stop the Blur is super important to me, while memory planning is still important to me, you're not going to necessarily find tons and tons of photos on my page. But this was awfully fun because this was a travel weekend and I did stick a lot of ephemera in this little pocket that I made. And this pops up and against my point, right? What? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 8 photos right there on one day. But sometimes that happens, and I'm okay with that. I'm really big on hidden journaling, and I've had some questions about that actually lately. What about the hard stories? What about the things you don't really want to relive? I think it's important to write them down anyway, even if they're hard, and you're going to see some hard in here actually. And then I think it's important that if you don't want to read it again, then put a note. Keep out or danger, but have it there. And there's just so much psychology to writing a thing down, even if it's difficult, and giving it space between your brain and the page. There's a lot I could say about that. I'm here for the flippables always. A lot of journaling is found throughout. It's crazy to look back, and my daughter was pregnant last January, and I think we've come around. So a lot of emphasis on baby, because that whole weekend was baby shower and friends and family and whatnot. And so there you go. That's just kind of how these pages fall out. I had some prayer cards here and several things I wanted to say. So I made a whole pocket for that, and then I just stuck that in there. And I do that a lot, hence why my pages can be bulky. I'm really big on if I see a quote on Instagram or stories or something, I love putting it in here because it's part of my journey at that point in time. And so that's a look at January. You also can see, if you're new to this channel, I'm very color centric on my pages, and this was a particular memory planner that had these color bands, and we've kind of phased out of those a little bit, which was fine. But this for sure is a truism, right? I don't need to write that down, and other lies I tell to myself, because you will forget. Oh my gosh. I mean, looking at these, I mean, I can take myself right here to this moment. This was February. Wasn't quite Valentine's yet, but it was the beginning of the month. And I can see my mom here, and I can see how sick she was, because she had been diagnosed about 5 weeks previous to this with leukemia, and an incurable leukemia. And so this woman was very sick in January, February of last year. So me looking at this picture takes me right back to all those feels in a very powerful way. This right here is my daughter was going to be graduating in a couple months, and just the countdown that was happening. And for me to look at that photo without even looking at what I wrote there, and just to know the excitement we were feeling and the anticipation that was going on, all the while hard was going on too, right? Isn't that something that is special about looking at these weeks? It's like there is hard, and there is anticipation, and there is celebrating Super Bowl, because that's what our family does. We're a little nutso about Super Bowl. And so we have a big old family photo there with my mom being very sick and my sister with her broken leg. There's just a lot going on then. And then to go and, again, lots of flippables, making things that just because I want to make them, and then adding them to my weeks. That is a big deal to me to have that. This here is a great example of that. I loved making this tag. I think this was new, Tim Holtz at the time. I love adding my creative aspects of where I am on my journey to these pages. And then to even look at this picture here of my kid almost a year ago and realize, oh my gosh, he's so big compared to last year, right? This was a formula sheet that Heidi had come out with that is available if you are a subscriber to her Stop the Blur classes. And I sized it down because I loved it so much, and I added it here to my February page as a flippable, and just a great reminder as to how to go through to keeping these memories, getting back to basics. I have a lot of questions right now about how to do certain things. And I guess my message just right now, aside from all the other messages I'm probably going to share with you, is get back to basics. Get back to what it is you really want to do here. And that's tell your story. Okay, so talking about hard, this was the birth of my granddaughter, who I don't know if I have. Yes, I do have. No, I don't. That's funny. I don't think the very first photo I was given of her, I was sent of her, which was terrible. It was absolutely, I just bawled when I was sent that picture. And that's funny that I didn't add it here to this mix, but I had a reason for that. I don't know. But this whole page was dedicated to my daughter and my brand new granddaughter because of her NICU experience and everything that was going on with that. And it was a great way to keep a play-by-play of what was happening, because, you know, in a minute, the days get blurred. And so I have a very special and private prayer in here. And I used a lot of Heidi's stamps. She has a faith stamp out there that I absolutely suggest everyone have. God is good. Yes, faith. Because I do believe God is good. especially in the hard times. And so that was just a testimony to that story and to that time. And then we have March, and look how bright March is, right? And that was on purpose. And just to be, and to have adventure. The adventure was I was going to go spend a week with my daughter and my granddaughter. And I mean, I just can't even go into how much of a blessing that was. You know, sometimes too, your photo doesn't necessarily match, maybe if you're going by color on a page. And so I hide it for me behind a piece of vellum. Had a lot of stamping going on here, and even some brand new, I think this was Fresh Air stamp that Heidi came out with. There's all these florals. I just love them so much. I just added them in. And so here was baby week. Here was spending time with my daughter. The whole week feels like baby girl, right? With the pink and the florals and tons of journaling. And you are going to hear me again and again and again. I have no idea where this belongs. Isn't that funny? Huh. I don't know where that goes. Maybe it's this. Oh, I don't know where that goes. Ha! And I have a whole blank space there. There might be a couple of those as we go along. I try really hard, but for the most part, I do have everything filled in, and I'm super excited about that. So here's to spring here in the area. Lots of green, again with stamps. I'm sorry, with stamped tags that I love to make, and messages that I make, not only for other people, but for myself. Oh, and then it's my birthday. Yeah, that was the last time I wasn't 55. Okay, spring break. Love using these large alphas of Heidi's to make a really big point about an event happening, and that I use the vellum clear stickers to stamp, and then I attach them onto my page. And I love doing that because sometimes especially when your books get bulky, it can be kind of hard to stamp. And it's funny that I have a whole week here that is not filled in. I didn't have memory of that. So I'm glad you and I are walking through that right now. Okay, so on to the next segment. And this was a really cool planner. I believe it's still available. It was this blush ledger. I did not do any of my month at a glance, and I'm just going to be okay with that, because I did do my week. So here's Hello April with brand new Stop the Blur kit, and super just exploiting that everywhere. I love this teacup. Oh, as a matter of fact, I have tea right here. I have a little tea latte I made for myself because it is snowing outside right now. Okay, more of the same. Lots of pockets. Love me pockets. Love pockets. I just love to be able to just stick stuff in there. Now, I should have some, I'm surprised I don't have journaling on here. I think this was a trick that Heidi taught in one of her Stop the Blur classes. And I love just having all those loose. And I did this again and again. And that's a great thing about having her class or seeing something is just repeat it. I don't know that I really create anything new on these pages. I sort of just create the same thing over and over again. And I started to get a little bit better about adding some die cuts in here. So I loved doing that, and some hidden photos here, which is super tight for some reason. I'm not going to pull that all the way out because it does not really want to move, but you get the idea. This is a great stamp set. That was another thing too. Getting new stamp sets is something that I really tried to make sure I made a deal of that on these pages, because it was just a way of celebrating them, celebrating creativity, and giving them place in my memory planners. And sometimes my colors are multiple colors. Like here you can see I've got this blue going on. It was part of the April kit at the time. But this Tattered Rose is also a great like neutral color that you can bring up with your other colors. And just if you don't want to just use a single color on a page, it's a great complementary page, a color, that's for sure. I was celebrating here 4K on my YouTube channel. That was a lot of fun. And then again, using something I like to share on my monthly pages is if I got something going on over here, I do try to make it happen over here. So I use large alphas over here, and I use them again on this side too. And to me, it creates a balance in a page. So it doesn't always happen that way, but it's something I do attempt to do. Now, this was a lot of fun, and this was also something that Heidi taught in must be her April Stop the Blur class. And I love this. I forgot about this. I'm glad I've looked at it again, because it's definitely a great way to add, if you do want to add lots of photos, plus lots of room for journaling. And there's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on this weekend. See the power of looking through your books is, I mean, this was our senior night for our daughter at our church, and then a lovely friend had her wedding shower, and then Mother's Day, pictures with my mom and my sister and my kids who are home. Lots going on there, and it just makes me so happy. Now, I have a mini book that goes in here, and actually, I do think I know where it is. I was going to say, I don't think I know where it is, but I do. It's just really full, but it was so much fun to have. Okay, and I don't have the extra sticky down because I haven't committed to put it in my book. It's just like a little mini album for your planner. Isn't that awesome? It's so awesome. I loved having this in here, and it's just not in here now because it's very bulky, and that was the only takeaway. I had someone ask me about some 4x4 photos. That they print 4x4 photos. I don't print photos typically that large. That's not to say I don't have some in here. It's not a typical thing. But here's a great example of something that is 4x4. Although it is 4 photos, it still fits really nicely right here at the upper part of my week. And I don't feel like it's too big. And so I just wanted to point that out. And if I see another one, I will try to do the same yet again. Now, sometimes your pages are kind of light, and that's okay too. I don't have a whole lot going on here. This is just stamps and journaling and lots of snow, because that's what we do here seemingly in May. I mean, that's not unusual at all. So there's an ode to keeping it super simple on that page right there. And then June and all the happiness of June and so much going on and lots of photos, tiny photos. I don't often do the little almost 1 inch by 1 inch photos, but this is my daughter graduation weekend. And I did really want to make it a powerful story. So the photos helped. But then I have something over here like this, where I just used a Heidi Swapp envelope die, and I had a fun stamped little tag, and that just starts my week, and I'm absolutely fine with that, and it works, and it still tells a whole lot of story. Thank yesterday, love today, create tomorrow. Visitors in town, lots of hiking, lots of outdoors. Totally, that story is coming through big time. I love this right here. Shout out to the mom who has had prom, graduation, last this and last of that, and about a bajillion family members crowding in her home to celebrate all of it. Oh, and she still has a normal life in the middle of it all. True story. And look at all the normal life. I'm so happy for it. Then we have a big, huge blue story here and some hidden photos with some hidden journaling. Love these little pockets that Heidi created for this month's kit. And this little slider here too is super awesome. I have lots of journaling here behind. When I don't make my pockets right and I just add the adhesive straight onto the page instead of making little gussets, my journaling tags don't come out right. So here's to taking time to making good pockets. This was just a week of stuff. We're in the middle of summer. We're playing. We're zooing, we're pooling, we are hanging out with babies, we are also documenting our art journaling, because I have art right there. This is just a fun highlight page, right? Just using the alphas from the kit to just share what was happening in a single word. And I love that. And sometimes even a single word is a great prompt. And I really love this page too. This just really summed up June for me with the flowers and the water, lake time, and the grasshoppers. It's just an ode to take pictures all the time. Okay, we're going to keep moving here because we move into the middle of our summer. And again, by way of a terrible example here, there is nothing in my month at a glance. And I love this. This is part of Heidi's Adventures collection that came out in the summer. There still might be some pieces in the shop. And I just loved creating with this kit. We still have the color band here, so I'm still really focused on making that work with the rest of my page. Here was a tag that I made for July 4th. I have a ton of photos in here. Here's a 4x4 photo, and it's tucked inside of a pocket that has another series of photos with it, plus those. I mean, this was July 4th, and we do July 4th in a big way. So I did want to make a really big story in my planner. And I made a pocket here using a ScrapbookCom pocket die, and then one of the tags that I had made, probably actually even have this on a reel in my feed. Lots and lots of journaling because we had lots of family, lots of friends, lots of time, lots of things to celebrate, and made sure we got on the page. And my kid turned 21, so using the big outline stamps to celebrate that, plus using the July 4th stamps, because I thought that was a great way to utilize those stamps to add to a birthday celebration. This is a very linear page, right? Like photos, 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 lots of photos, collage, not quite the 4x4 size, but it's still it's 2 inches high for sure. And it's about about 3 inches, maybe 3.5 inches wide. So it takes up a lot of space. And sometimes I didn't hear, but sometimes I'll make it to where there's journaling underneath. So if larger photos are taking up a big amount of room, well, then make them flip and then put journaling underneath, or even other embellishments or photos even underneath that as well. So that was just an ode to kind of a pretty linear page. I don't hate this page at all. I love all my pages, and that's the thing. Just start if you're not sure about starting, and just get the things on the page and stop worrying about perfection. I mean, there are pages where I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking there? Or like this, like, why don't I have journaling there? It's not like I don't have journaling. I do have journaling. But get it on the page. Now, then, here's a great example of an unfinished page. I don't have anything in Monday. I don't have my dates. I know I wanted this in here somewhere. These particular clips were from the Adventures collection, this clipboard, but it's kind of big. But I'm going to make it work. I don't have my journaling there. It's just kind of funny how sometimes I hit a little skid and it doesn't all get done. But then August comes and I'm celebrating August because babies are visiting and it's the end of the summer and there's beautiful tags to lay out on my pages and there's still lots to do in the summer. And I just take pictures of my dinner. I take pictures of my desktop. I take pictures of alpacas. I take pictures of flowers from the farmer's market. I take pictures of my friend Rodney on Instagram. That's the photos I take. I take pictures of my kids starting school, and I write about that. I remind myself this too shall pass, because look I'm in January 23. August 22 is in front of me. It's not here anymore, but I have all these memories right here, and I'm loving it. I am a big fan of having a big stamped image in the middle of my page. That, for some reason, just really excites me. Lots of journaling right there. Can she get it back in there? I don't know. Sure she can. There we go. A little booklet right here with lots of photos. SBC Fest had just been announced, so I added that to my memories. And then I have started August week here again. Actually, no, I know what I did. I think I finished... Oh, no, here we go. Here's the real story right here. I did not get this last week of August done. I do have it dated, ready to go. Then I skipped these days and I started September right here, because I do like to start the new month on a fresh page. I don't always do it, but I really actually prefer to do that. So that's a look at the beginning of August. Lots of tags. I'm here for the tags, people. I love having these large tags in here. I love having my pages just feel real scrappy. Sometimes I get super linear, like I showed you back on that July page. And then sometimes, I don't know why that's in there. And then sometimes I don't know why something's in there. And then sometimes I just like to just have just stuff like laid in there and feeling super interactive. This was a fun technique that Heidi taught in her class, and I utilized it, and I love it. I love having that there. Picture of the Queen at her passing, some hidden journaling. This is getting pretty more recent, a little bit more recent now. So I'm like, these memories don't feel so stark like the ones at the beginning of last year. But large tag. Throw your tags in your books, guys. So that's a look at the first 9 months of the year. Let's get it right. Okay, we're going to look at 2 more months here. I love this beginning October page. So here's a really good example of when I get super linear again. And I've got square, kind of a square, but a circle to kind of offset things. But this was part of Heidi's kit with this circular. Oh my gosh, this was so great. This like circular accordion little booklet. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And of course, I love the little subject on it. And so this is a great way to start this month off with that page there. And of course, I love October. I love fall. I love these rich colors. And this was, even that in itself, guys, is a way to celebrate and document. Let me get these out of the way because I think they're casting a shadow. Is to utilize the colors that are just speaking to you. I'm very seasonally inspired. You saw that throughout this whole book already, where the summer months were either vivid or bright. The spring months were soft. The baby pages were soft. Winter was still blues and greens. And now we're in fall, and I just exploited the colors because I love them so much. And it's a great way to document you, right? I'm not great about documenting me, but this is one way that I indeed do it. I wanted to point out here, I showed this when I did my October walkthrough, large letters there that were part of the kit. Love those so much. Just this little fun cluster here. But I used Canva, the free version of Canva, to make this photo collage. And I really love the impact of that page right there. I use Heidi's dies to make another large title because, gosh, yes, thankful. For sure. My watercolor tags that I put out on a reel on Instagram, and then just a little collage of things I was seeing around me. You know, these pages don't always have to be these huge events, right? I mean, there's a lot of events in here. Don't get me wrong, but this is a good example of this is photos around my yard. I think we were getting ready to have a frost, and so I just went throughout our garden and our yard and just took pictures of things I knew weren't going to be around for too much longer. And then my daughter's 19th birthday. And tons of journaling underneath that, and more journaling here as well. A photo of a coffee cup because that's what I do. Another favorite tag that I made, and huge amount of journaling there. You can see on this page here, it doesn't really follow any kind of days, right? It's very organic. It's very loose. It doesn't have this really hard set way of telling the stories, and I'm here for it. I love that. This is not too different, where I have a big overlap here with this postcard. This was part of the Stamp Society. I just realized right now that my little tag isn't actually even glued down. So I'm going to go in and glue that down right now. And loved utilizing that as a flip on my page. And you can definitely tell this is November, right? It's like super clear. And this really fun, moody page here with these greens and that butterfly still, and still these letters, even though we weren't in the month where that was a current kit. I still use the kits. I go through them all the time. I pull elements from them all the time. This page I love. I think it's because of the letters, right? Who's with me? Like work, studio, and the things that are happening with that. Snow day in November, and a quirky photo of me. And then we have here like huge big story, right? Because it was a big story. It was Thanksgiving weekend. I shared this pocket on that walkthrough. I have stuffed this with photos because I want them here, but I will also scrap them as well. And do you get the feeling, oops, I can't show you December yet. Do you get the feeling that I love this? This video has gone pretty long, and I don't want to just jabber on. But what I just really do want to convey is, yes, it takes time and discipline and taking notes and creating, I think I said this already, creating time to make this happen. The joy that comes from going through it a year later and seeing a life well lived, or even sometimes when life isn't lived well, and you realize, you know what? I want to do that different. I want to do that better. I am worth more than that, and the people around me are worth more than that. This is such a great way to see that, right? And we see it in our scrapbook pages too. I just think when you're seeing a whole week at one time, there's some kind of impact that creates for us. Thank you, Heidi Swapp, for making Memory Planner what it is. Thank you for providing all the parts to it. And here's to a brand new year, 2023, and the stories and adventures and the gratitudes that this brand new year will bring to us and that we get to document in our memory planners. Thank you for watching.